this.
Oh, Kissay! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LCO, delivered by Menulog. It is time once again for Menulog. Menulog. Mealtime. I was hoping mealtime was on this arm, but we didn't get the custom one done, unfortunately. But I could get a black texture and write it. Either way, it's time for you guys to enjoy winning a $30 voucher to use on Menulog. Exclamation Menupog without the exclamation. So that's just Menupog. In the chat, if you want to win that $30 voucher, go in the running. Get yourself something to dessert on, something to lunch on, something to win.
What are you looking at me for like that? You know what? Can I also shout out to Menulog, who are so active in Twitch chat. I was watching a VOD the other day of
They
the
do
LCO,
pop off, yeah.
Yeah. My man's just typing in that chat, so shout out to them for being active
They certainly
in the
are.
community.
Now, what do you think that Menulog Twitch chatter eats for lunch? That's what I want to know.
Churros.
Churros. Oh, sweet.
Is that because we
tooth.
had churros today? Is that because they're backstage, there's churros?
I'm kind of craving my churro right now, not going to lie.
Yes, same.
But I am at the same time unbelievably food comering.
Do you want one while we're in Champ Select? Because I could make that happen. No, you sure?
No, you
You
won't
could,
be able to
you
talk
could
then.
tease everyone.
Try
on
and be a
Twitch.
little bit professional, Mac.
What about you, Kitty? Me.
Professional broadcast.
I'm also
Pretty much.
waiting for my churro in the green room. So once I'm off screen, you know what I'll be doing.
Okay, but what do you think that Menulog social media person
Churros.
would eat for lunch?
Yes.
Churros.
Well done,
Churros
Kitty.
as well? Oh,
We've
I
been
give-
set off. We've been set
It's
off.
Well
just
done,
churros. Churros or donuts, which are just, circular churros.
Dude, there's donuts nearby my house. They're so good.
What are they?
They're named after American rappers.
Little Shock? What was it, Big Shock?
Yeah, Big Shock and Lil Melga, two of the key donuts at that
Oh,
store.
I was ready for like
Donuts
little
because they
churro and
make
big
you
donut.
go nuts?
Nah, dude.
Ah, damn. They make me go nuts.
What about cronuts? Are you a fan of cronuts? I feel like cronuts are like S tier.
What?
They're those
A
things that you...
croissant and a donut together.
Yeah. They're the things that you were like, oh, wow, and I had to, Google them to figure out what they were.
It's like pumped full of like caramel. Oh, it's just diabetes on a
but
plate. It's beautiful.
For them to be a real cronut, they need to be made at this specific one place in the US. Otherwise, it's not a real
Is it a
cronut.
cronuttery?
Yeah, well, something like that. Either way, something that makes me cronuts or go nuts is actually the match of the week. And Skimmy, I'm going to see you again right now to talk about it.
Wow, it's me. It's the final week of the split, and with player spots secured, teams are now fighting for the best possible chance of making it to the LCO stage at DreamHack Melbourne. Having joined the league this year, Kanga Esports will be hungry to claim their very first win over the Split 1 champions in a Week 10 grudge match of sorts, leading into their playoffs debut. He doesn't have ghost, but there goes the cage, the turnaround. They're looking for the Udia. Kisei unchecked and untouched. He can just literally jump in at one shot somebody right now, but he's been knocked off. If you're looking for action this game, then mid lane is where you'll find it. Fido and Kisei both possess the X factor to be a massive influence on the game's outcome.
I'm definitely not happy with finishing 5th, and I don't think anyone else on the team is. I have the best AD carry in the league.
Kanga tries to play standard compositions, but they just can't compare to our team dynamic and our player skill.
You guys, order. I think you guys are trash and you're going to get absolutely destroyed. Easy dub.
Liv does only look good in tanks, and if he goes into that realm, I will beat him every time. That is my realm. I know how to play it the best.
With only 2 games left and playoffs just around the corner, it's crunch time for these teams to hit their stride on the road to DreamHack Melbourne.
Rusty? I mean, is that Skimmy on the screen?
How good is Smack Talk in these Match of the Week videos? We got Order, we got Kanga, and we got Lived spitting out some spicy damn words. And Bio, he's only been spitting out his phone number lately.
Constantly.
Yeah.
My man's... The funny thing about BioPanther with videos like this, and especially with interviews, is he's often quite serious. But, all he does is smile and laugh and have a really good time. And he's such a jovial person. But the second he's in those content pieces, he's like, this is my realm. Shadow realm of top lane. And if you play a tank, it's easy. Well, that's actually, where'd that come from? He has that gear.
Hate actor,
Oh,
this man. He knows what he's doing, and that's
He's a
why we're
dark
going to be
side.
talking about Order real quick here. Have a look at them. All 5 of these gentlemen have been smashing it all split so far, and they want this dub to try and lock in that second position in playoffs. That second seed would look so damn sweet, wouldn't it, Kitty?
It does, and look, Corporal, I think it's going to be his meta because we have seen a resurgence of this Leona in the bot lane where she has become more popular for these support players, and Kisei has been just being an absolute fiend on that Sylas. I believe he had well off more than just 10 CS per minute on a melee champion, which is basically unheard of. And I think Guro and Kisei have been kind of molded together where they are at their best state for the end of the regular split.
They really are. And Kanga as well. We need to talk about this team because they've been undefeated for 2 weeks back-to-back since Benvi joined the roster. He's been doing so much good work. Lemus seems to be finding his stride as well. Fido or Faker, whoever that is in the middle there, he's been popping the hell off as well, Skimmy.
He certainly has, yeah. Faker Fido played the Caston, which was really exciting for us to watch. So I absolutely love that champion. Benvi had arguably his best performance on a bar, which gave him MVP, and was just an absolute highlight montage reel for him to be certainly very proud of. Even lived doing maybe the greatest Ornn combo of the ult into the headbutt and just the one shot straight disrespect. So really excited to see how they fare up against Order and if they can actually find that very first win.
A little bit of revenge for the 2 dubs Order already has over the top of them. But again, this is one of those games where if Kanga win, we start to get into the nitty-gritty, get into the numbers, and there is a big chance of that 3-way, 4-way tie happening, Rusty.
And if Order win and Pentanet.gg later today lose, Order get locked in second, right? So there's a lot on the line here for both of these teams. Kanga, if you're a fan of the 4-way ties, the Miracle runs, this is the game to watch and be a Kanga fan. But as you have heard from everyone else here, it's going to be no easy feat with the Order being a powerhouse. And much improved lately as well, right? Their past week was really solid. By no means perfect, but the things that they can improve are fairly easy to fix. Individual mechanics have been nuts. And Kisei, call Fido Faker. I mean, the real Faker was playing Sylas last week and being like 100 CS ahead as a Sylas in any matchup. So Kisei's been a weapon.
Well, you're a fan of progressive overload, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. So that's kind of what Kanga's been doing. Their competition through their last couple of games has been getting harder and harder and harder and harder. Now they're bursting second on the table. Tomorrow they've got top of the table. Is this just, their gains have just been going up through the roof, right? So if they lift Order today,
yes,
there is a big chance that...
yes, he's been making a gym analogy for like the past minute.
Honestly, it's literally like
Just
he's
wanted
playing
to
bingo
say
8
progressive
lift and
overload,
progressive overload
didn't
and strength for schedule. And
Well, the issue with competition events is you want to have a taper week or 2 weeks, and you can't really afford to do that in stage games, Mac, because then you'll start dropping games. So one could perhaps argue that Kanga are not at their best as they verse the best teams this week.
Ooh, okay.
If you bring that
But
analogy
still
to it.
slowly working up because now they're locked into playoffs, and that's when they hit that stride, when they, shift the diet to something a bit more carb heavy and just
I mean,
really go into the paint.
We can veer away from gym analogies at any moment, and
We
I'll
can
be
do
happy
that right
with
now
it.
because Lived hates the gym, don't you, Lived?
Nah, I love the gym, mate.
Oh
my man! Sorry, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I like your gym analogies. They're actually pretty good.
Thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Now, talk to me about today. Order. This game for you guys is a big one, especially to try to shift up, get a couple of seeds higher going into the playoffs. We heard your smack talk in that match of the week video. Is there anything you want to follow up with that one so we don't have any crazy things going on social media later on?
Biopanther, I'm not much to trash talk after the game. I'm honestly, I'm a little bit. I think Biopanther trash talks a little bit more than me. I think he's a bit more experienced in that department. I like to take it a bit chill, but I was just feeling it that day. I had high hopes. I'm feeling good this week. I think we're gonna do pretty good. I think we've been on the upwards climb recently, so we're looking good.
Enough of smack talking. Let's talk about encourage talking because your team is on a huge win streak. So who do you actually want to thank too? Because I believe that Fido mentioned Lima's being the best AD carry in the region, and I think Foreigner has been doing quite well for himself as well.
I think I just want to thank my whole team, honestly. They've kind of been carrying me. I think I've been the intro of the team recently. I think the rest of my team is just absolutely smurfing it lately.
Very good. Well, we'll see if you smurf it today because we got to let you go, Liv. We've got to jump on into the match of the week. Go get yourself ready.
No worries. Thanks for the interview.
No worries. Thanks for
chill.
being such a good interviewee. Oh, he's gone. Damn. Well, I tried to continue the conversation, but we've got a game to get to. Now, Dare fan vote time. Get those Twitch points in. It's match of the week. It's do or die. Well, technically not do or die, but it's very important for other things which we can discuss later on, depending on how this game goes, depending on how the rest of today's games go. And then tomorrow as well, things have to go a little bit crazy to get those ties coming through. So get those Twitch points in is essentially what I'm trying to say, which was not what I was saying at all. By the way, our predictions, let's bring those up. Let's see if we're all on Order's side. Okay.
I thought that of all times for you to be on an underdog hype train, Mac, I thought this would be the one.
I was so close.
I really thought this
Are
would
you
be the
on
one.
the
So
Kanga
close. But
hype
we're all
train?
tied for second.
Fido's tuned in right now. It's like, Max fake,
Max
fake.
fake. No longer king.
No more interviews. No longer a king.
It's,
We're all there with
give
you,
it to
Mac.
me. Fido, just give me this one. All right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you guys are watching.
Call it a win-win. Call it a win-win.
Yeah,
if you're wrong,
win-win.
Kanga win. 4-way ties are on.
Oh, and the
Win-win.
storylines just get so beautiful. Oh, they're tasty. Can you taste them? I can taste them.
No.
I can taste the
I-
storylines.
Not very good at tasting
No.
storylines.
Oh, Kanga in fourth. Kanga in third even. Making it to the upper bracket. 1 win away from making it to DreamHack. Kanga. Kanga. Anyway, it's time for Champs League. See you guys.
It's just-
I didn't need to say anything. I just watched. I enjoyed the performance that Mac just put on for us there. And not as much the performance that will be gifted here by Order up against the Kangaroos. Jarvan banned away in first rotation. There we go.
Yeah, Jarvan going to be taken off now. Note that Wukong, Pantheon, the two junglers that we saw last game, still going to be up and available so far with 1 ban left. It is going to be 3 mid laners away from Kisei. Silas has been unbelievable for him. LeBlanc got buffed. We spoke about this already on the patch, so wouldn't be too surprised to see Kisei pick that one up. Not going to be allowed. Ari, not going to be allowed. And believe it or not, Order banned 2 mid laners as well. So we have shriveled down the champion pool, but turns out still one of the highest priority mid laners and potentially one of the best in slot champions still persists. Though I would not be surprised to see Fido have some kind of an answer into the Talia. I would be very afraid if I was Kanga of Talia Pantheon. Just locked in.
Exactly what I had in my mind ready to utter, because it just gives you so much global pressure,
Yeah.
guaranteed CC, a ton of burst, and a huge window to try and snowball the game from, right? So it feels like a bit of a risk here that Kanga have said, you know what, don't care about the Pantheon. Wukong fits the bill far better for us.
Oh, that could actually work. I would like that personally. Also, Fiddlesticks has been buffed in the previous patch, so just while we're seeing some hovers, it's always possible, but a Wukong has been locked in, so if we did see that, who knows where it would go.
Yeah, give me Fiddlestick support anytime.
Yeah, it'd have to be. And just Kanga on the other side here as well, right? Yumi, plenty of ADCs to pick with it if you wanted to go 2-3 with your AD role. It would probably make sense, but you would lose so many options in mid.
Yeah,
and
for
that's
sure.
the question, right? Where does Fido go from here? Because you could like Ryze or Lissandra if we're going to look at some like meta mid laners, but I don't think that Ryze or Lissandra is that great into Talia, right? Like you're more of a mid-range harass champion and Ryze just gets handled so easily. But he can probably force priority in mid if I was to give him anything.
Yeah, it begs the question, would he feel threatened to have to match global with global, like
Yeah.
a Rise, like a Twisted Fate, for
Exactly.
instance, and say, well, there's no way I can allow a Taliana Pantheon to run rampant with a Rakan, potentially, just to win every skirmish.
And the only other caveat here is that whatever you pick, you probably aren't going to win skirmishes now with Talia and a Pantheon are locked in. Like you're probably just losing the 2v2.
Yeah.
So you may as well go for team fights. And I mean, this is certainly a scaling, more team fight centric option. It can deny a Pantheon and a Rakan from engaging with the wall that you can put up, the baby cage.
Yeah.
So Veigar actually does make sense. I think that they've just acknowledged that they can't win a skirmish and that they're going to draft for team fights. And from here, you are looking at the potential, you know, Twitch, Yumi bot lane with a scaling Veigar in mid. And flexibility in top lane as well, to be honest. Tanks like a Sejuani could even be a priority here for Lived, though I'm sure Bayern wants that.
I'd imagine so. I certainly would imagine so, as Gwen also another big champion in his repertoire, so that's going to be denied away. We saw just how much great work it did up against Peace in their matchup last week. Now you start to run through the different champions you want to remove from this combo, right? So Zeri at the top of the table, Twitch, as you've already highlighted, makes a lot of sense. Would Kanga say we need to ban away another top laner, really try and give us the best possible chance of surviving?
Siva, very good into Pantheon, you would have to argue. maybe not great into Rakan. Just as far as ADCs are concerned here for the side of Kanga, that might be my second ban. Because you're the team, like, Order's draft right now is the team that would rather have the Draven than they would the Zeri. You know? Like,
Sure.
the Yuumi being locked in from Kanga, to me, kind of cements more of the Sivir-oriented style. So I think that the ball is in definitely Order's court to try and ban that one away. But that's where, like, now you're a little bit lost with, like, is it just going to be a Twitch? But then you're picking blind Twitch into Rakan and a Draven potentially there, right? So you probably have to pick your top laner here. I would Sejuani, just because Sejuani Wukong can work quite nicely, and it's going to be blind, but also Ornn.
Yeah, I was going to say, otherwise does he just run it back with his third game in a row. That would be 4 then in the last 8, and he played really, really well on this one. So definitely, if you're looking at comfort, and if he's individually looking to try and match with his words of wisdom, I suppose, right, from that highlight clip that, you know, we are just going to, stomp them, then why not default to comfort, which is going to, double down on that scaling aspect.
And here's my question, I guess. With Rakan locked in, Xayah does exist as like a self-sufficient AD champion, self-peel when you've got the rest of the team that could go forward. So there's an option of that potentially there.
Sure.
And you are an aggressive team, but it would be nice to have a scaling carry in one of these lanes. So it could actually be like a lane-heavy Aphelios, right? That's similar to Raze from the last game. Just has a team move towards you, and you get protected to your items. I would actually be a bit of a fan of that here, I think, personally.
What do we get as the last
That
pick
is,
here from Order?
you know what?
Okay.
That's something else, because now we have Rakan Yasuo bottom from the looks of it.
Okay, Puma, I see you. Fair enough. We've just got infinite knockups and a whole bunch of stylish swag in this game, I'll tell you that much for sure.
It's such an odd comp. I like what Order have. If they're all on the same screen, they're devastating. But if Gragas and Yasuo are separated, it's a weird combo, isn't it? Because normally you'd see Gragas, Yasuo bot together, you'd see them mid-jungle together.
Sure.
They're a duo that hit 6, press R, and then Yasuo can instantly combo. You don't need to knock them in a direction, right? You just need to hit them. Okay. Limas has just said, look at all of this targeted crowd control and AoE engage. What if I just Vayne? What if we just Vayne Yuumi bot lane real quick?
Ah, yes. I see the angle here.
Tell me about the angle that you see, because I can't.
So you get ultimate from level 1. And you are just tumbling and they cannot see you. So
tumbling next fast.
That do be a little bit fun. Tumbling into the next draft, absolutely.
Oh my god, he's picked Vayne.
So a few things are really exciting for me, right? The return of Gragas.
Yeah.
Obviously the ability for him to be very strong. I think we've seen, I want to say 1 or 2 games of him so far. Went the Night Harvester. I think it was Winter that played it right. Did a lot of damage. As opposed to like the tanky grasp Everfrost build of before. I believe that's the first game Pum has ever played a Yasuo in competitive. So that's going to be exciting. Feels like all the AD carries now are saying literally anything is on the cards. We just haven't delved into the AP majors just yet. But we've had everyone playing Draven. Everyone playing Yasuo.
I'm so glad that people are playing Yasuo though, because I feel like this was one of the things that I've been saying since the first week of the LCO split.
We were begging for it mid-jungle at least.
There is just so many different Yasuo combos, and with that comes flexibility. Teams will finally come around to it, and I don't know if it was a case of like needing to learn the Yasuo or needing to find viable times where it can be drafted. But now we're seeing without the Senna, which is, I think what brought Yasuo really out is the opportunity to play a farming champion bot lane with an AD carry still in the role.
Yeah.
We're now seeing it without that Senna. We're seeing Rakan. And now we're seeing Gragas Yasuo combos, right? We're seeing so many different things. Talia's got a flick as well as far as their draft is concerned. They've got so many different tools to enable that.
Sure.
What they do have, and what we have to keep in mind going into this game, is just melee champions. There is so many different melee champions. It is really close range as a composition. Vayne can kite that exceptionally well. They're not outranging at any point, right? So if Limas gets to a stage in this game where he has his items, he's going to be super powerful.
Yeah, if he can become relevant, then he certainly can just, take on those 1v1 duels and certainly tumble reset into farming up an absolute treat, but it's going to be easier said than done to reach that point. A scaling, hyper-scaling AD carry, same for the mid lane and same for your top lane. If they can reach that point, 2 to 3 items with ornaments, happy days. But for Order, it's just all about carnage. You have infinite engage.
That's it, right? But like the thing is, as we get into this game, remember that this is now the hardest job you've ever seen for a Wukong, because he needs to somehow get his team there. And like, yes, their team fighting could work, Skippy, but can their team fighting work when the enemy team has so much damage, the Pantheon Taliyah will duel you. You don't have skirmishing. What do you have that gets you to that late game? It has to be something pretty special here.
It really is going to be something pretty special. We saw some of the woes in that Pantheon Wukong matchup last game, right? The fact that, you know, you can hit the clone and try and buffer it. You're still going to get stunned. You can't move. Going to be fairly rough in that front as we do load in now for this second game. A big battle now to try and get yourself into that upper bracket and try and get yourself that extra lifeline. No coach interview this time, so we can look to see if anything crazy happens at level 1.
Early movements here from Order as well. Yuumi never wants to be caught alone. You get flashed on, you die. Benvi needs to be super careful here, and I think just gets lucky from timing. Fido not as lucky.
That's a flash, absolutely. Jump on through, Fido flashing away, down to 50%, and without a summoner and no TP2 because he's gone Predator and Ghost.
Yeah, Gudo is the one who uses his flash. So in response, it'll be jungle for mid. So now you can just expect that Pantheon to say, well, that was... Can't ask for a better lane to force a flash from early. Can't ask for much more. He's going to be able to steal away that blue buff. Look at Foreigner here real quickly, though. Without a flash on his mid laner, I don't think he particularly cares. Level 2 off that red buff straight towards the blue. Finds himself Gudo.
Yeah, he certainly does. Has his blue buff stolen away from him. They're going to try and cheeky 1v1 as Kanga's bot lane is the first to respond, but both were in the area. Back to lane they go, and Gudo gets away with a buff advantage.
And it really is just still potentially a 3-buff start here for Gudo, right? So we'll get pushed out of the jungle, will take a little bit of extra time, and Foreigner's got his full camps to pass towards top side with, which really is the concern. I feel like both teams are kind of looking at a potential jungle path from bot to top side with that blue buff steal. The alternative here for Gudo, if he wanted to, could keep the map flipped vertically, do his full bot side into a bot gank. Foreigner rather. If you're Order, this is where you expect him to go. So Kisei, by walking up where he is right now, potentially even placing a ward at the Krug camp, sees the Raptors up, is even looking towards the top gank, but they're fighting bottom.
They certainly are fighting bottom right now as the exhaust goes out into Puma, who responds as well, stacks up the lethal tempo. Now he's game, he found a minion, he's jumped onto Limes, instant flash away. As the silver bots start to stack up, it's only level 2 Rusty, so I'm getting excited. And for good reason too, because summoners are being used, flashes are there, and a kill is yet to be found as we're down to 20.
4 summoners used from the bottom lanes of both teams. And Foreigner still with flash and red buff presents himself as an issue, but has to back away towards his own jungle, or at least into the jungle area because he's out of mana. And that was still not that bad of a trade from Order. I mean, really well done from Puma to, first of all, put such a positive trade into Limas and get out with his life intact. Foreigner now, Scuttle Crab to mid. Kisei should know this is happening.
Yeah, he's going to be in a situation feeling threatened to flash, but ultimately no, just stands his ground inside that cage. Hoods out the minefield and says, I've got a jungler in the area. He's ready to go. Foreigner feints with the clone and then turns around with a fair bit of damage, and Gudo is waiting to try and see what he can find with this one as the shield goes out and the mitigation around it wasn't enough. Kisei, flash, flicks and fight, so it styles on him for first blood.
Fantastic flick from Kisei. Gudo misses the tap of Q, and it probably was a second kill on a Foreigner as well, so keep that in mind. That could have been so much worse for Kanga. And suddenly, this triple scaling composition from Kanga is being punished early, as you would expect to see from a Pantheon Taliyah. They win their 2v2, and they're looking very good.
Yeah, they certainly are. And I feel like a little bit of desperation there from Foreigner having his buff stolen away. Just invest time in the bot lane, straight to mid. We need to find something, need to find first blood to try and salvage some way back. And to try and be that bridge that you mentioned from the drafting phase to get us to the late game.
And that's the thing, right? If you go red, blue, and you're looking towards a bot gank, you've now been kept out of a lot of camps. You've been really messed up with things that you're going to be able to provide to the map. You saw him after the gank bottom was out of mana, so had limited amounts to provide in mid. Is now looking back towards... let's acknowledge that Kisei is flashless this time, but it's a level 3 Wukong who is just leeching experience off his mid laner the longer he stays.
He's just down so many camps at the moment.
You have to do this out of vision. Now is a good time because the seismic shove was used.
Well, here we go. Ghost is there looking for the play as Kisei is going to have to stand his ground one more time. Sidesteps the W, but looks to try and run away. It's going to be easier said than done, though. Foreigner wants to try and give this kill up for him. He tries to steal away. Fido can't find it. He just must not have had the cooldown.
Yeah, gave him as long as he could, Foreigner, but Fido just not going to have the Q up. Either way, they'll get themselves the kill. Second time's the charm here for this Wukong, who goes back towards his jungle camps, resets, comes back towards mid lane, and doesn't want to spend any time not helping his laners. And it's obviously important We spoke about this already. He has to have an influence. Goodo's turn to take some damage in mid. He catches the wave. And Foreigner's still mid.
Still mid, really lagging behind. By the time he gets back to this one, he's looking at another respawn in the bot side with the Gromp into a potential Herald, into a Scuttle Crab rather.
But look at bot wave. There's no way for a Yuumi and a Vayne to break a freeze if it is established like this and your jungler is permanently showing in mid trying to gank.
Yeah.
Already down 10 CS. Corporal in the area sweeping through, has Goodo in the pocket.
Yeah, Puma stacking up that dash on through, looking for a target to land on. Hits the Cyclone, and that means they jump on through. They all pile on through. How does Lemus play the game? 3 layers to it.
He doesn't. He doesn't get to play the game. Has no cleanse. Look at the timer right now on the right of your screen. It's up now. That's how well this was timed by Order to get themselves the kill, to layer the crowd control. Puma actually, you may have missed it, windwalled the Condemn. So the fact that that wasn't available means that the Yasuo knockup was hittable, and then the follow-through from Order secures the kill. Really well done.
Instant exhaust out from the roaming Yuumi, paired with the Monkey, looking to try and take out Goodo here, who's really in a league of his own. Oh, just gets caught by the cage. And Foreigner's found another.
Foreigner well back into this game. With the second kill to be found on this Wukong. Now, of course, Fido still contributing nicely towards the cause so far. Excuse my laugh, I could not control that. The timing was too funny. But they've done really well, Kanga, to try and find those kills where they can get them, to try and give themselves a semblance of control. It's not 2v2ing mid, it is getting advantageous gank positions to make sure that they have the jump first.
It certainly is. Does feel like a very different story between these two junglers at the get-go, right? Double CS as the Pantheon versus Foreigner, who said, well, if I can't farm, I need to find kills. I'm going to try and sacrifice my individual strength in some way and just chain gank and say, well, if we're not burning summoners, then I'm coming back. We are. We're going to get these kills. I'm going to find some way to influence this game. But as far as bot lane summoners go, that was the biggest thing for me, as you highlighted, right? Literally cleanse up in 5 seconds. 5 too late.
That's what it can come down to sometimes, right? Quietly achieving as well in top lane. I think it's fair to say, Liv, for those of you who have not been paying attention to top on the scoreboard, which is very viable and very valid, not many people do. He's up about a wave, has been farming nicely, and as far as we can tell, because it's first strike on both solo laners here of Order, it is an AP Gragas. It will be a damage Gragas from Biopanther. It seems like the Gragas and the Gwen have become 2 new champions in top lane that go full AP, full ability power in their playstyles at the moment. I'm a fan of it. I like more damage in League. I feel like tanks are fun, yes, but the more damage you can put down, especially with the nerfs to one, a lot of sustain from Resolve Tree runes, potions in general lacking in a lot of that extra healing, the more damage that you can actually put out in the way of poke or harass feels more meaningful now than it has before. So I like the idea of building AP for laning phase or your first item, perhaps, into tankiness.
And that's why I'm finding it interesting as to sort of what we're going to see going into playoffs, right? As to can these, solo laners truly exert their laning prowess, right? Not just the individual farming or not just getting up by 10, 20 CS or even in some cases up by 100 in some rare circumstances, but can they really bully their lead and say, this is a counter matchup, this is my 5th side red pick, and it's going to actually have a meaning. It's going to give us that punch to try and win out a game. And yeah, it's good to see it, straight into this one. You predicted we thought Pantheon would have that 100% presence. Well, 2 games in so far. It's looking really good.
Certainly has been. Of course, it's not just in Oceania either, right? We've seen Pantheon through a lot of the world. I was looking at LEC and LCS before our games today just to see what was going on there. I didn't see many Vayne Yuumis, to be honest. We did see a lot of Zeri and a lot of Twitch and a lot of those types of champions still being picked in from both of those respective regions, but we've also been seeing those banned today.
We have.
A lot of Zeri respect given, no Twitch seen, but admittedly Twitch is mostly seen into Zeri, which is like the trade-off that we're missing by not seeing one. But we did see a fair chunk of Pantheon, so no surprises if we do see that today. If our pros expectedly are looking at other regions, then we should be seeing a replication, and also throughout the scrims weeks, right? There's direct lines of communication between OSA and North America for obvious reasons. There's Oceanic players competing over there in both the LCS and the LCS Academy leagues. So we tend to have an idea of what they're playing, as well as a bit of feedback from some of those gracious players over there in North America that spectate and help where they can.
Yeah, no doubt you got your mates over there and you're sort of trading what you think could not be strong, but also just from this week to the next, like we much had in 12-13, right? initial impressions as to what we thought would be strong. We saw pretty much the same for the most part. Then we went into the following week, and everything changed up again. One thing I will be hoping we get to avoid is first pick Yumis, which we have been seeing a little bit once again sort of pop up. I saw in the LEC as well. So I'm locking in the Yumi. You have to now take away that Zeri or that Twitch, or you kind of just lose. Definitely don't mind that not being locked in. Much prefer the likes of a Talia or a Wukong or something more bruiser heavy.
I also just like the idea in a region like Oceania where, like, it's pretty fair. This is a big conversation that I'm having in my own head right now.
Okay.
I think enchanters are broken in regions that aren't as high average quality as something like the LCK. Because enchanters are better at punishing the later the game goes.
Sure.
So I think that's where, like, there's an innate value in an enchanter pick. But I like the idea, particularly for training a region to be more aggressive. For internationals, I have no idea what Kitty's doing. I don't know how to finish my point anymore. I've been lost. Can we just
Let's
that?
just quickly pan over to Kitty, who's
Oh, what's this in my hand? Oh, is this a boot? Oh, am I Kitty? Is this a cat with a... Oh, it's Ben V building boots on Yumi is what I'm referencing.
What a goose. Why would you do that?
Oh, quite an interesting build there,
Maybe
Ben
he's a
V.
roaming Yumi, Kitty. Did you ever think
what
about
is
that?
this sketch, bro?
I will be checking out for the rest of the game until he sells.
Kitty's been
Still
having
have
fun
them now.
with Twitch chat.
I love that.
He's-
I love that.
Does he still have them?
I think so. I can't see.
Yeah.
I can't see. That's really far.
It's a thing. I just said maybe he's building, Ionians as like extra.
It's not a thing.
cooldowns. I know it's not a thing.
Okay.
I've heavily been told in the green room.
Yeah,
that it's
I'm
not a
sure
thing.
you've been told in detail.
So, Mac, actually, with the summon a spell haste, I can then get more exhaust and more ignite.
Well, you need the boots to run away from your problems when your Vayne's dead.
True.
That's
You
it.
know, you need a boot, I need a boot. Everyone needs shoes.
True.
Why will a cat not need shoes?
Rusty, what happens
They
if you take your
don't.
shoes off? Actually,
Cats
I,
don't
think-
need shoes.
I honestly think Skimmy doesn't need shoes because he's got some banger socks on right now.
Sheesh.
Couple of flamingos.
Now we've just devolved into this as a game pause. We're flexing feet.
I was in a big conversation and it's gone.
You were talking
I'm
about
gone. It's gone.
overseas stuff.
I think we had this conversation with Carbon one time, though, right? About how when I asked him the question about why are we getting Wukong first picked more than Zeri when they were both super strong, I think like 12-12, 12-13. And it was like, I just think Oath is more skirmish heavy. We're more reliant on sort of like the wombo combos, the group ups of the big team fights.
Yeah, you want to say something. I'm going to lose the point again. Go.
While you're there, go.
Okay.
Go.
I think the reason that we should be playing more dive in OS is because that's what we need to be better at internationally if we want to win games. That's what I think, because we fundamentally fail against better teams and players and better regions
I like that.
by playing passively when passively they are better than us.
I like that.
So that's my take before
Play
I
to
forget
win
it.
overseas. And now that you've said that, what we did discuss out the back is that Orders rocking 4 melee champs, 1 ranged, into a Veigar that has a cage. Is that like... That's terrible, right? That's a really hard to execute comp into what Kanga already has.
Kind of. Like, I think the Veigar specifically, yeah, it's really hard into the Veigar.
Okay.
But it's not like Kanga or a long-range artillery comp, right? Like, they're not going to outrange you in many ways. Vayne's fairly close range, Wukong, Ornn fairly close range. Yumi just exists.
With
Whoever
boots.
is there with boots,
Yep.
whoever's close
Yeah, we
range.
do have the Pantheon Talia, the infamous Chinese duo where those two champions always guarantee a kill when the Pantheon presses E, which is exactly what I'm expecting for this game. But we do have that Veigar and Vayne and Ornn for the late game from Kanga. So I think they're just playing for that late game win con where they're just trying to minimize as many mistakes and try to not lose too many objectives before they get boomed.
Is this not just like a Kanga special, though? Yeah, you don't want to get him boomed. Isn't it like a Kanga special, though, where they just draft triple scaling and
Yeah,
somehow
boom.
always got
Online.
away with it? It's crazy to me.
Mine boom after Yumi boots.
Well, I'm a boom out this game right now
Bye,
because the
Mac.
game's back.
Bye,
Bye.
Mac.
Bye.
All right, we're on boots watch for the rest of this game. Just to be super clear, because Kitty's put it in our mind.
I
The
love that
seed is
skit.
planted.
I want to know how long they spent in the
Our
green
cat
room
has
prepping
boots.
that one.
I repeat, the cat is. Look how quick this reset is.
Boots with the fur.
Every passing second. Shut up. Every passing second. There's more and more efficiency from having those boots.
Karaoke night here on the LCO. Start singing our way through this game. Thank you for bearing with us. Bit of a long pause, but we are back in the mix, so we can carry on the great discussion as to what will this game have to offer. The break point as to when Kanga become a little bit too strong.
Is there a point? Like, I mean, theoretically, I'm sure there is, but like, is there a point in this game where a Vayne Veigar is just a little bit too strong for Order to deal with? We've seen how good their engage is in Order's composition. Of course, you cannot see the composition as we are, unfortunately, in yet another pause, but to jog your memory for the 10 seconds that you did get to see it there, Gragas Yasuo, Rakan Yasuo, Pantheon Talia. As far as combos go, Order have ways into fights for either picks or for full-on team fights. And if they're able to fight around objectives, which they should be able to fight around, with Herald and Drake priority going up a whole lot, the Drake in particular, with this patch.
And I suppose the big thing for me, right, is that Order's composition, whilst it does have a wombo combo, it's not one-dimensional, right? There is a lot of different elements as to how they can look to try and put it together, right? The Talia and the Pantheon can both just press ultimate and go from one side of the map to the other. You know, the Gragas and the Rakan can both look to lock down a key target for upwards of, like, what, 5 seconds it would feel like? And definitely the Yasuo can just become best friends with literally anybody in this team and say, let's go on that magical journey into, unfortunately, another pause. So, not sure what's going on here. 10 seconds of fun and festivities. And we are back to where we left off again. So, take me back to the conversation, because I was actually really enjoying it before we had that skit on the couch, because I think it is an interesting point how when we do go up to bigger tournaments like MSI and Worlds, you can see the opposition being at any of these major regions will just be aggressive, will just be up like 10k gold in 15 minutes, much like the Chiefs do to teams here.
Yeah, I mean, Chiefs are funny because they're almost an exception to that rule, generally speaking. They're so good at winning early that it's never really come down to many times we have to be better late, where I think what you'll find, and this transcends even just international events, you'll find this in your own scrims at home or like games that you play 5v5s. If the enemy team is just better than you, eventually you probably just start losing. You get 10,000 gold ahead, but there's this point of critical mass where you're like, they're just better. And that happens every single time you go internationally. I mean, my first experience competing internationally in 2011, it felt the exact same way. You just hit 15 minutes in the game and they know what to do more than you do beyond 15 minutes. They're more refined, they do everything better. And it eventually just overtakes the game and they start winning team fights because they get to pick the ones that they want. You get that at home as well, right? Like that scales all the way down to the smallest level of play. But going internationally, what you really want to be good at is getting a lead pre-15 minutes with a composition that can naturally or more easily scale out a game. So like if we look at Order's composition in this one, right? They have a Pantheon Talia that should always get a lead early. And then they have a Yasuo that can combo with that with a Rakan to force team fights through the rest of the game. So Order's comp is the type of comp that, 15 minutes in, 2 Drakes and a Herald are gone. They should be able to get a 5k gold lead potentially, especially against Kanga's scaling of a Vayne and a Veigar who can't contest objectives really at any point for a long time. That you would hope that 5k is enough to get them over the line.
But you'd wonder, and I think it's always one of those interesting discussions as to what real magical number, if there even is one, when you do have a lot of scaling, is, if we're down 7k, are we still okay? If we're still keeping it, relatively even, if we can sneak away a dragon to buy us an extra 5 minutes, that's a huge win, right? Perhaps a cheeky skirmish because the opposition does have that 5k lead that you highlight, so they do try and take a crazy, 2v3, for instance, and we are able to trade 1 for 1, or at least even in some fashion. Then, we are keeping it as close as we can. We've seen teams be down 10,000 gold and still pull up these, miraculous comeback scenarios. So I guess that's why I get so excited, right, about, the expected quantity would be the mid-jungle pairing of Order to really be the engine, the catalyst. But surely Kanga, there's going to be a world in which, you see an item come online for any of these carries and you're thinking, surely, boys, it's time.
I believe it is getting very close to time to get us back into the game here as well, Skimmy. So thankfully, everything seems to have been, I hope, resolved. And hopefully we get no more pauses in this one. For what it's worth, just a quick recap for everyone at home here as well. Order only about 1,000 gold ahead, but with so much control over the Rift overall, barring mid lane where Foreigner and Fido have been just permanently ganking together.
Certainly have, and you can see it reflected from their 2 jungle camp clears. Fido is up a fair margin, all really down to that initial invade, right? The fact that Fido had to flash away, Start off the laning phase without that summoner. Gooden stole away the blue buff, and Foreigner has been playing catch-up ever since. But here we are, back into the action, which is great to see. Once again, thank you for bearing with us, and it does look like Order are making that play for the first Herald.
So I guess the question we have to really ask here once again is, when do Kanga want to fight something, right? And one thing to note with patch 12.14 is that the Drakes are just better. So if you're able to, in this case Foreigner, take away this Drake before Order can respond, that's really big for you, because that effectively stems a win con for Order, who could do Herald into Drake. And you can see them right now passing Krugs to bot side of the map, but they did a full reset. They didn't cross through mid lane to make this happen. So that's huge for Kanga, and could actually have some really big implications for the follow-through of this game as far as scaling is concerned. And then, of course, every Drake is buffed, so it's just nice to have.
It certainly is, and buffed in more ways than one, right? The buff it provides you, but also its HP. You saw it was taking Foreigner a very long time to try and take that one down individually.
Could be a 3v3 here as well. If Corporal wastes the W, Puma can't get in with the ultimate, but Foreigner, with the Yuumi in his pocket, doesn't have a completed jungle item just yet. Is well on the way to his mythic, but look how quick Benji gets back with his loot.
We'll need a quick conversation with him afterwards. Got two support mains on the couch here, well equipped to answer the big questions.
I can justify boots in only one way, and that is if I'm a full AP Yuumi that wants flat magic pen.
Sure.
But I would still go my mythic before my boots. So I don't have an answer.
Quicker rotations between the Wukong and the Vayne.
Oh yeah.
Am I clutching at straws?
Just to run it down faster with my boots.
So potential action in the bot lane was certainly stemmed until this happened here, where he just jumps on through, and frankly for him, the
There's a
exhaust
minion
may
wave,
just
though.
have been enough. Is Puma game enough to try and dash on through with a flash himself to try and snipe him onto the turret? Look at the healing. Very shortly though, Yuumi will be out of mana.
Yeah, also only summoner spell remaining is the flash from Limas, right? A Wukong now on his way bottom. Order don't know this, and their Pantheon is top. So I think they're just going to try and push this wave in, maybe back away, to be honest.
Oh,
Kanga are going.
Final chapter roots in place. Both members. The condemn misses. It doesn't stun. The exhaust goes out, and Limas may just be dead. He's held his flash for such a long time. He's fighting in the night. He's got the tumble. He can become invis. Now they're doing a little bit of cheeky alcove gaming. One-man cyclone. Bio's here and hits him with the keg. First strike and first kill in this bot lane exchange. Cyclone is there again, and the cask is a little bit too late to try and get that kill. As Foreigner is trying to run left, right, and center, but realizes the entire team of Order are here to shut him down.
Yeah, just an endless supply of reinforcements come through from Order. They will get themselves the jungler of Kanga Lived. Is going to ult to clear this top wave. It's not enough to one-hit a wave, but a W maxed on should be enough beyond that to clear it. And he should be able to continue pushing this one out or get a quick reset off if he would like. When all is said and done there, a 3-in-1 Wukong goes down. And mid, we're going to have to check in with what happens with Fighto. But at the end of the day, Order, very nice skirmish. How about we check in with it right now?
Production magic.
Hello? Hello?
We're back.
Hello?
It's that easy for us to not be able to talk anymore. It's
Damn.
all happening at the moment, isn't it? But yeah, Fighto just got pounced upon, really. The global strength really coming into fruition. And then, yeah, Foreigner just nowhere to run, ultimately. So, into another pause. It's not the best start here for our match of the week, but it's a very important game, right? So, certainly if there is a hindrance, if there's an issue, given the implications on the standings, like you mentioned, if you're a Kanga fan, for them to try and push themselves into a high position to potentially force some tiebreakers, and for Order to keep their position and guarantee that they don't drop any big games.
You know, I will say, as far as a must-win game is concerned, Kanga have definitely thrown a spanner into the works with style. You know, like, we're used to seeing Fighto play perhaps something that can get priority in mid lane while still being a scaling mage, right? Like his Azir, something that he's very good at playing. We're not going to get that this time around from him. Foreigner, I think, has been playing really well so far. Like, considering that you wouldn't say they have an outright winning 2v2. You saw that evidenced in the first skirmish that took place in mid lane. Foreigner's done super well to get himself back into the game and find, I guess, an advantageous position. But we are still looking at a Vayne in bot lane that's, what, 20 odd CS down, is 0-2, is struggling in reality to stay with the pace of this game. And it doesn't get better for a Vayne that falls behind, because you eventually want to go to a side lane to farm, but an AP Gragas looking Looking at that Vayne, like that's a bit of a snack for him.
I mean, especially once the Night Harvester is complete with the rune choice he's running, it's a one-shot. I mean, when the belly swap goes in, you kind of just don't exist, which is going to be pretty rough if they are looking at that late game side laning, 1v1 potential. We'll say though, if we talk about Kanga being the original this split of the triple scaling threat, certainly Order have shown that as well up against Chiefs. So you'd feel like they'd be well equipped to understand what needs to be done to try and stop Kanga from finding that success.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Order. We've also seen a lot of. I guess the counterpoint to that is we've seen a lot of slow play from Order, right? Like their last game against. I've lost the name of the team they were against, it doesn't matter. They were playing super slow through their win. I think it was PGG. They were so, I don't want to say hesitant, but they were really patient in how they played. And that type of patient play could create space for teams with scaling compositions to get through that, right? To be able to persist into late game and get a comp where it needs to be.
I think it at the Peace game where it was like they were 10k up.
Yeah, it was the Peace game. It was the other P word team.
Yeah, infinite Sivir wave clear. And you're
it.
thinking the only way they can actually end this game was with a Baron buff. It was a bit of a weird one, wasn't it?
I'm losing the plot with the pauses.
Oh,
the other P word that I shouldn't say.
Cycling through. But we are back for the meantime. I say that it's going to become a bit of a cursed phrase at this moment, so I'll have to find a different way to try and tee that one up.
Envy might be finding himself a Pantheon if he's not
He
careful.
may just be Dej, as the Zoomers say, as he has just been locked on down, thrown around like a pinata, and taken down for the ultimate prize, which will be a double just like that. Nope, 2 solos, but more gold.
And so we find ourselves at a point where, and we didn't highlight this too much, the Rift Herald was summoned to take out, bottom.
Yeah, Puma game for a cheeky 1v1 right there. Last breath goes out. Limas actually answering back. He's keen. He sidesteps at the Weaver's Wall. The Cadet doesn't hit it. Oh, he's flushed away. Look how low he is. Puma has been afforded the cheekiest lifeline you will ever see. And the shot back afterwards, and that is Talia Pantheon working its magic.
It's just been gapped by Doran's shield instead of going for the blade. Just enough gas in the tank to stay alive. Limas desperately trying. If he gets a kill there, maybe it doesn't feel as bad as it currently feels, but you take a quick second to look at those CS values. He's about 50 CS down. We'll see what happens again in mid. The big thing that I wanted to say here, and part of the owing credit to what happens here, is that, one, Herald was summoned to break the mid lane outer turret in its entirety, and as a result of that, it is so difficult to play the game, not just in side lanes like this, with Puma being 2 levels up on Limas, but in mid lane to get vision. It is so difficult. There was a fantastic tumble, condemns, not one of them is stunned yet. Hey, hello, hi.
Yes.
Hello.
Back again. Fido in a very similar spot again. Oh! Can he find the kill? Can he remove Puma? How is Puma surviving? No, finally falls on down. I thought this guy had 9 lives, much like a cat, but the cat's on the other side right there. Benby popping double summoners to try and make that play work, and thankfully for them, it did.
Here we come back, and we do find ourselves a dead AD or bot lane player here of Honor, but all things considered, Kanga, extra money in the pockets, extra gold on the board, things that they desperately want at all times, still finding themselves very similar to last game. 7k gold down still. They'll get this turret. It might bring it closer to 6. They're so far down with a comp that needs to scale.
They certainly do, and I suppose now is a really good time to check in to see where all that wealth is distributed. No surprises, it will be that mid-jungle that has the majority of it. Kisei in a league of his own. Yes,
Limas is
very much lagging behind.
A support as far as gold is concerned.
And that's why that kill that he could have found onto Puma, which he's honestly being cheated out of, just feels so heartbreaking.
I mean, yeah, without a doubt. It hurts. It hurts to see it, but this is also your own sword that you fall on regarding how this game plays out. You pick the Vayne, you make the risk, you suffer the consequences if it goes backwards, if it doesn't work. I feel like the only saving grace for Kanga so far has been that their mid-jungle duo have been fighting relatively well together, right? They've been on the same screen.
Yeah.
Early game, they gave them some kills. They created some space for the map. And Top's just been happily trudging away, farming those minions, and Liv does break a full outer turret. Biopanther, of course, teleporting to a skirmish that happened bottom against the Demolished Ornn. That's bound to happen. But those are the positives that you take away from this one so far.
Well, another positive there found by Goodo as he secures the second Herald, and we'll get to see where he decides to utilize it as That was the first turret in Kanga's favor, with Livs being left to his lonesome for such a long time to actually achieve that.
Actually, I wonder here, Skimmy, if Kisei just pushes this wave and goes top and they go for the top lane inner turret with that Herald, because they certainly have lots of options.
And Puma's already got this one.
Yeah, and with the mid priority that they have, I feel like you just play towards the rest of your team. The only risk here is that Kisei dies.
Yeah, he could be dead here. Has to flash up the cage as well as the final chapter. That would have been too much CC to really respond from. And a big shutdown on his head that he will protect.
Yeah, you don't want to give away 600 extra gold for that death. Farming up a storm once again, it must be said, this Talia, 186 CS at 16 minutes. We jokingly call fighter Faker. 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 Fighto Faker. I cannot speak.
That's why we jokingly call him that.
Kisei is definitely the one who's been stepping up to the plate the past week, right? And has been going absolutely insane. As, frankly speaking, it does seem like Limas is in a spot of bother presently.
Yeah.
Hopefully gets resolved soon.
Yeah, it looks like he's having a bit of a roughie, which hopefully can resolve itself. Otherwise, the pressure, the nerves, the passive, I suppose the subconscious mind of your teammates thinking, oh, really, what are we playing with here? What if a situation were to arise? Ultimately, you know, the stakes, even if we do hype them up as to playing for big tiebreakers or, you know, playing for the best possible seeding, all these teams here are secured in playoffs, right? So,
yes.
Worst case scenario, it's not one of those games where we lost out on making it.
No, it's not fighting for playoffs, it is fighting for seeding. You still want to be top 4 as a Pantheon is ulting in.
Certainly is, and it's a very preemptive flash away, but look at the ground that they can just cover from Order. So much CC and just so hard to try and run.
Yeah, Bellow's breath unfortunately just puts him 6 feet below the ground. You can thank Velixis for that one.
Piece
Came up
by
with it on the
piece.
spot, to be fair.
That was your best one so far.
That's pretty bad, actually, so I don't say that. Kanga.
Velix is just punching the air right now.
Yeah, he's
supposed to go
definitely
off.
set me off, and I'm not happy about it. Not even a little bit, in fact. Herald charge secures an entire one hit.
Oh, Fido flash forward, locks down with the Everfrost, locks down a fair bit of damage onto Kisei. They want that shutdown, and that shutdown they will find. Guru's been exhausted, Corporal with the quickness, looking to try as many people as he can. Bio comes in with the one shot, but he won't secure it, but his team will instead, and that's a TP you just don't want to see. It's a 3-man knock-up into the Call of the Forge God. He can't even hit the R2 charge because he's been kicked away. And he is now being dominated as Frona flashes across the wall. He's been exhausted, and Lima says, look, it's vein spotting. It's a 1v9 angle. Oh, wait. It's not.
Every vein angle is a 1v9 angle. Flash Cleanse still available. Unfortunately, Limas uses the Condemn to push Puma closer to himself because he cannot disengage. We'll see this skirmish one more time because again, Foreigner Fido find the angle. The flash forwards, the Everfrost connects, and while you flick him away, they still put down the damage. The fact that the shutdown starts 900 gold into the pockets of Fido before the full skirmish breaks out. You're thinking that's good, but then the full skirmish does break out. The reinforcements get here. Biopanther obviously incredibly quick. And Limas ults in, tumbles. He's like, I've got to help my team. And then does that. And that's not going to help anyone, unfortunately. Foreigner just presses the eject button on his aeroplane. He's gone. And Limas is dead again.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, it's now a 10k deficit. Oh, no.
He's got boots. He's fine.
Yep. Boot difference. Literally to get towards his Veigar, who's now self-cast the cage, and he is running as fast as he can. Out goes Corporal. Nobody is safe. There is the charm. And there is the double. They're looking for the Yuumi. It's a man-man ult, which is without anybody to back it up with.
Can't catch that Yuumi, though. You know what I'm saying? You can't catch that Yuumi. No, his Pantheon ulted mid.
And he certainly has. Let it stop, Rusty. They're already dead.
Yeah, we've ballooned the lead out to about 10k 20 minutes in. This is looking like it's basically ready to put a bow on it and wrap this game up. Baron is up. I do think that Order are the type of team that could do it fairly quickly, I think, between a Yasuo and a Pantheon, if they're applying damage to it. And also, a first opportunity to actually look at the health of this Drake. So sad to be a jungler on this patch. Look how long this takes. Drake's almost winning.
Yeah, look at, I mean, the fact that Kanga can actually come back and contest this.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, there may be a fight here. The Drake is so healthy, and it takes so long to do that you almost cannot solo it ever anymore.
Here we go. Well, that has just been taken away there by Lived, even without a smite to contest it. Foreigner with an ult, with a charm, with a disengage away. will be ever so grateful that they've bought themselves another precious 5 minutes, even if they are down so much gold.
I mean, it's definitely a crucial time that they need. The question is it time where they're going to be spending that time farming, or is it just time? Because they need to use it effectively, and Limas is presently very much unable to. Even just looking at the items very quickly between both bot lane players, the Yasuo with an Infinity Edge completed, Limas with a dagger. Don't think that compares.
Bit of a difference.
Not even by name. Infinity Edge just sounds epic. Daggers can be efficient though.
I'm trying to think of a pun, but I've just got nothing there, unfortunately.
No,
so
it's probably better you don't.
not witty enough in the occasion.
Foreigner court.
Certainly has been called, and he's in a fair bit of trouble. He has no Cyclone, so it felt a little bit crazy to be in a situation so pressed up. Weaver's Wall is going to try and cut off the fight, but also just let Kisei jump into the fight and say, I've got 2 more targets here, boys. Let's have at it. Liv forced to flash out of the seismic shove. And everybody just on full mitigation.
Yeah, and again, no time being spent here farming. The only person on the side of Kanga that can win this game is Fido. The only person who can farm in this game is Fido. He is the saving grace. If anything is going to net them a win in this one, it is 5 close-range champions, or 4 close-range champions in a Talia that'll be Weavers walling into the mix against the Vega. Otherwise, this game is insurmountable.
Yeah, we've seen Mountains be shattered before, but this one feels like a bit of an uphill battle that's a bit too insurmountable. Ultimately for them, level 13 is there now for the Ornn, so the ornaments will start to come on through. Let's see if there's a window in which they can at least try to match with 2 items complete across the board. You've got 2 in the top, 2 in the mid lane.
You probably don't even want to give the upgrade to the Vayne, do you? I mean, I suppose you should, but like it has to be Veigar first.
Absolutely.
And the question is, you just prioritize the Wukong because he's doing good damage in team fights.
Yeah, Divine Sundra still will have a fair bit of efficiency. There's the cage. Everfrost full one-shot combo onto the Rakan, who actually hits the shield to try and run away. And that locket was absolutely clutch as he can manage to find a teammate to run towards, and Foreigner is in a very bit... Oh, he's in a spot above it, but he's just flashed across the wall behind enemy lines.
Yeah, Foreigner in shambles, stuck well and truly behind the team. Corporal does have the Baron reset, but is choosing to stay with the squad as they press the attack bottom. Looking towards mid and bot right now, Talia with the wall can catch up very quickly and move between these lanes, but isn't set up to cut one off. And again, 4 melee champions. To actually siege, you are Baron required.
And the Foreigner just dead to your side there in the mid wave. After all that, rocks up to the lane and just falls on down in a heartbeat. Kisei, level 16 now, so that Weaver's Wall will cover a fair bit of ground. And certainly primed in position when the turret falls down just to lock them under the second inhibitor. And that's what they're going to do. Fido nowhere to run. He's got a flash. Limas is just dead. And Liv, he's a tank with 2 items complete, but watches his team die around him. He's the last man standing, and he is running outside of his base. But you will not find any success there. It's an ace. It's not a perfect one, but it might be just enough with 50 seconds for order close.
Nowhere is safe. Foreigner up in 2 seconds, and he'd be the last man standing for 15. It seems like Order have more than enough here to be able to get themselves the win.
Order on towards that Nexus with a lone Wukong, forced to try and do it all. Kanga tried to find their very first win up against this organization, but it won't be today as Order take the win.
Certainly will not be today. When all said and done, Order were just a little bit too clean. They had an early game team. They won early game, and no amount of scaling that was built into the composition would be able to come true for the side of Kanga. I think you could say that Foreigner and Fido tried their best, but when all said and done, their best is not going to be enough to get them through the absolute brick wall of an opponent that was Order with the lead that they had.
Yeah, certainly was, and there was a lot of moments, right, where they were trying to flip the game, trying to find some ways back into it. Ultimately, just didn't work out.
It felt like call an ambulance, but not for me in a couple of those moments there. And there was just some crazy, crazy things going on that game. And I need to apologize to all the Kanga fans out there. As soon as Max stopped predicting, as soon as Max stopped believing, Kanga stopped winning.
Moment of silence for the Kanga fans out there.
Thank you, Kitty.
But
Thank you.
I need a moment of anger for this. Okay, so I've been thinking, I've been pulling out the math. Why would Yuumi buy boots here? Because you have a Vayne. Vayne is one of the only ADCs that can safely obtain CS in the side lane. She's the only AD carry that can side lane, where most ADCs want to be in that mid lane to avoid getting caught. And you have a Wukong that has good damage, it has good escape, it has good like tankiness, so you don't get one shot when you get caught. So you can place wards with the jungler when you are this Yuumi. And I believe he never completed it to an Ionian boots, where it would be the only acceptable game where if you build Ionian boots, I guess your summoner spells are on a much lower cooldown, but he never did that either, so I'm still scratching at my neck, wondering what this boots did. But again, I did want to say that Oda, they pulled out the Yasuo and it looked really clean for this game as well. And the Pantheon, hello?
Yeah, the Pantheon was devastating, wasn't it? I mean, it was a very disrupted game, and I really hope that it didn't, ruin the game plan too much, or at least the thinking, the strategy that was coming out from Kanga. But ultimately, here we are trying to curate ideas as to how they could get back in. What will be that magical break point? Perhaps ornaments, perhaps, 10k is a little bit too much, perhaps stealing away all these Drakes. Would have been a potential chance, but you just saw Order group up as 5 and just devastatingly crushed them in these team fights.
Yeah, it really felt like that was like a new record for fastest 10k gold diff. I don't think we've seen it in 20 minutes. That was like real quick. With all the pauses as well, it was easy to sort of like miss a few things here and there. And then just look at this. Just look at what Kisei did in mid lane. 18k damage. Like, where'd that come from? Where'd that come from?
I don't know where it came from, because I believe those pauses was quite frustrating, which we also saw from Liam as he didn't have the best performance, which is to be expected. So other than me joking around, I think Order had a really good game with the Pantheon being introduced up against a scaling comp where their weakness is the earlier game, of course, and we did see the Pantheon Tilia making a lot of things happen around the map with their 2 global ults, which is why they are the infamous Chinese duo.
Fast rotations. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. You want to say something about it?
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's broken. I think Talia Pantheon's broken. I think Pantheon should be banned. Like, I mean, we're 2 games in. I was expecting it to be banned when I said 100% pick ban presence, but here we are. We've seen it pick twice. We've seen it win twice. We've seen 2 20-minute wins.
Well, maybe we can see, Gravitas or Mammoth learn from that next game. I guess we'll see. But for now, we've got someone to have a quick chit chat to. That someone is your boy Puma. So let's bring him in. Puma, how you feeling after that W? Surely that's good to start this week off with one.
Yeah, it feels good, but like all the pauses and whatnot, it sort of just took away from the game. Like, I don't know, it didn't really feel that good winning, but yeah, we still take them.
Hopefully we don't get any pauses in the later games tonight and tomorrow, because it is going to be the end of regular split. And I believe if PGG loses tonight up against Peace, you guys will be secured second. So what are your thoughts so far on your performance in Split 2's regular split?
Honestly, I'm pretty surprised we're second. I think all of the teams like dropped some games to the bottom teams, and like us as a team, we're really good at not losing to the bottom teams, so I think that's kind of why we're here. But I'm pretty sure we still have like a losing record against like PGG and actually just but yeah, I'm kind of surprised we're second, to be honest.
Okay, well, we've been having a quick discussion about the priority of Panth right now. We saw it pop off in the first game tonight. We saw it pop off with Goodo again in this game tonight. In your opinion, do you think it's just like the must-have pick right now?
I don't think it's like that OP, but I think with Talia it kind of makes it broken. But I think Pantheon like by itself is just like a early game champ that can help sides or like help laners. So I think that's why it's kind of popping up, and with the buff as well.
Okay, well, Goodo made that look exceptional in this game tonight. Anyway, Puma, we'll let you go. Good luck tomorrow in your game, and we'll talk to you then if you win.
Okay, thank you.
Always good to chat with a big man who had a decent game on the Yasuo, which was, a curious pick. I kind of wanted to ask him about that as well, but, Panth seemed like it was a better question for, you know, how much we still have remaining today.
Yeah, also, like, for what it's worth, the Pantheon fills a similar role as, like, the Poppy that we've been seeing a lot. So keep that in mind. They're both playing to side lanes pretty aggressively at the moment, which seems to be the way that a lot of junglers are playing the game right now.
I wonder if Poppy is the counter to Pantheon, because you do need to dash onto the person for that E to proc off. So maybe we will see more Poppy, but from what I know, Poppy is quite low win rate, and it's not doing so hot and nose.
Yeah, it's definitely been a bait pick, whereas Panthers looking completely the opposite. Either way, Dare MVP discussion time. Who do we think takes it from the old order? Is it a Goodo angle? Is it a Corporal angle? He managed to not die today. He actually escaped getting really close to death when he...
I think it's a Kiss-A angle.
Kiss-A?
I think it's a Kiss-A angle.
Again?
Big damage?
Ooh.
Why not?
Yeah?
I
mean-
was looking at Goodo. Yeah, just because of his like early success, how far he put Foreigner behind, and just his influence on the map afterwards.
I do have a highlight for BioPanther for that. I believe it was level 7 gank in bot lane, where he ganked more than Goodo for bot lane, and he turned a 2v3 around.
Teleport in, right?
He just teleported in and won the bot skirmish. So although he's not the MVP for tonight,
vote apiece.
I do want to highlight it.
Yeah.
So good job, Bio.
Okay. Well, now everyone's had their little highlights, their participation awards. Who gets the Dare MVP?
I am stumped on this one because I feel
It's a
like that
hard
was
one.
just such a one very quick game, very one-sided game, and also a lot of pauses to disrupt like the flow of who I think was the MVP.
Okay, well, I'm going to give it to Kiss-A for multiple reasons. One including just base tanking that 1v2 really early on, not dying, and turning that gank around with the little flip up. So, you reckon? Yeah?
Yeah,
I'm
no,
on
I
that
mean,
page?
that was my vote, so I'm in.
There we go.
I'm
Dare
in.
MVP for the day, for this game at least, is Kiss-A.
Wake
who's
up.
again sleeping on it. 6-2 and 9. Big damage share with 29% of that share and 62% KP. Teaming up as well with Goodo a fair few times to make those global ults just work so damn beautifully or disgustingly, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, and he's sleeping his way through to the upper bracket, where Order is about to secure the 2nd seed if PGG does win. So hopefully Kiss-A does do some more of this, praying that PGG does lose, and they will be 2nd and set off.
This just in, Kiss-A is now the Dare MVP leader. He has overtaken all of the Chiefs members which were up there, all of everyone else that was bloody up there, and Fido, of course, couldn't get the MVP because he lost. So a bit unfortunate there, but big performance. So let's see if he can maintain that one. Either way, an absolute belter of a game is going to be coming up just after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Mammoth, we got Gravitas, but who's going to take home all the bacon? I guess we'll find out after this.
Harold was someone to take out.
Oh, bottom.
Yeah, it's in the game for a 61v1 right there. Last ref goes out. Nemus
Completely
actually
mad.
answering back. He's keen. He sidesteps at the Weaver's wall. The cadet doesn't hit it. Oh, he's pushed away. Look how low he is. Puma has been afforded the cheekiest lifeline you will ever see.
Hey, look, menu bomb.
You're looking real fine, Skimmy. What's that on your head?
Do you have to?
The fight starts, Kiss-A using the depth charge against them, knocks them all out back. Big slam, it's been stolen by Goodo. Order have got the Baron, they've removed Lisa, and now can he win the team fight? It's a curse for Peace and Barons. I don't know what... Oh no, Ali G as well. Both supports in the area, but both mid laners here as well. The Ignite goes out, and there's the bailout. Ali G looking for that prop, but he won't find it. Poltron just clutches it there with the soul claim, and he also lives a little bit longer. Another reset. Poltron has bought infinite time, and should now die will absolutely sweep this fight. That was perfect.
Isn't it? Shyvana just ult in lane. It's super annoying. Bot lane hard forcing.
Yeah, Bulldog gets a flash
The
away.
ult.
Whirling
Oh, Puma.
Drops down into that Sanguine pool. And just out of range with the tornado to connect to perhaps tease. And oh,
Big kick.
big kick indeed. Straight into the knock-up, straight into the shove. That's a combo.
Responsible and not face check. There's only one spot they can be, Kanga being absurdly patient.
Oh my god, what a beautiful tempered fate. The laser buffered perfectly, the lightning crash, the kill, and there's the double. Oh, fantastic patience